Hey, this is Lisa Danforth, business strategist and leadership vision coach. And today I am so excited to have the amazing crew from Cruz Creative Digital. Agata and James, they're dialing in today from the Canary Islands in Spain, which I got to say in Vermont, it's darn cold today. So I'm like, I wish I could come over and visit you too. Super excited. I'm thrilled to have you two here. Agata and James are going to be talking about what social media engagement really is and why it's so important for building your brand online. I know we all struggle with that at some level, and I'm so excited to have you two here. Can you share a little bit about yourselves, how you got into this business, and where you live? Because that's just so exciting.
Where do we start? It's quite long.
Where do we live? Yeah. We live on Tenerife, on Canary Islands. First of all, you said that Vermont is very cold. We have a heat wave now, so we have around 30 degrees Celsius, just to rub it in everybody's faces. Come and visit. We're still open, kind of. So, we're on Canary Islands, and this is where we started our digital marketing agency, social media management agency, to be more precise. And we have backgrounds in a little bit different stuff, so it was a pretty good fit. I was raised in TV and radio and media overall, so I had a lot of video experience, and also being sales manager, that also came in handy. Where I also used social media for, of course, increasing traffic and sales.
Yeah, you've got a pretty strong pedigree in that area, haven't you?
Got some good street cred going on there.
Mine's completely different. Of course, Canary Islands. We are situated on Tenerife. Most people will always think the Canary Islands and Tenerife as a holiday destination, but it is actually quite quickly developing its own digital economy, which in a sense is where we sort of fit into the jigsaw locally. And of course, because of the power of internet and the digital world, obviously we can work exclusively around the world as well. They're using Tenerife and the Canary Islands as a sort of digital hub base. So there's a lot of digital nomads, digital entrepreneurs that are using this as their base, of course, because the weather is always a bonus. They can do activities that you possibly can't really do, like windsurfing, hiking. So you can still do those type of things in, say, like December or January. So they're over here, but they're also working remotely as well for companies in the US, in Europe,
for everybody
Australia,
who wants to work remotely and likes good weather.
So me and Agata got together from a relationship point of view, and as well as starting off and thinking, because our passions were always about starting a new business. But at that point, we didn't know what our business was going to be. So yes, I got my skill set actually before Tenerife was still in the digital world, but I was the digital project manager mainly in London for digital marketing agencies. So I had a marketing agency background. So we clashed heads, or not clashed heads is the wrong word. Well, sometimes, although sometimes we do that during the day.
Those are two opposite things, James.
Sometimes we do that. But obviously we had a discussion. We wanted a business, but what do we actually do? What do we take from our skill sets? So we came up with a social media management agency. So that's predominantly what we do, social media management.
And we also think that it fits very well with our characters.
Yeah. And the thing I love about you both is that, well, there's so many things, but you really complement each other. Agata, you said that you are far more outgoing and just, love to be in front of the camera. James is a little more reserved, and although James, you're doing a fabulous job on the camera.
On one thing that I would like to add, that it sounds like, I'm more outgoing on camera. In real life, if we have real workshops, I'm more nervous and he loves it. So it's not that simple.
It's really strange.
A great fit. No clashing of the heads.
Yeah. It's really strange, actually, because Agata's, I think, again, because of experience, she's more confident and better on video. She knows how to portray herself. She's been taught that way. I've come from a traditional background where I've done the sort of stand-up workshops, presentations with a live audience. Don't get me wrong, I still get super nervous and those type of things. But I don't know, I feel a little bit more comfortable than I am in front of the camera.
I actually like also doing live workshops. It's just that I'm nervous.
Yeah, you two
But it's
have
a-
just done a few of those live workshops, and I know that you both are very active on your YouTube channel, which is just, I mean, you've got so much amazing information there. And so I want to jump right in and make sure that we can share all the brilliance that you two are bringing to the table, and especially in today's day and age where we're all, you know, we can't travel, I would be at the Canary Islands right now with Doreen Moore and Van Dam visiting you two if we could. But I mean, there's so much, a business is just online. So it's virtual. So it's so important to understand that authentic engagement and building your brand. Can you talk about, and this may sound very fundamental, but what is social media engagement? How would you define it?
Well, I would say that this is all the reactions you get from your community. So in terms of, you know, very simple statistics, for example, when we talk about engagement, we're talking about likes, comments, shares, and saves, all sorts of stuff that actually are a reaction to your post. So everything like that, including watch time of your videos, is going to be counted as engagement. So this is kind of like, okay, I put stuff out there. What did people do? This is engagement. I would define it like that.
Yeah.
You want to add to that, James?
She's the boss.
Sorry, I'm always putting him in this situation. Anything else? Yeah.
Just say yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. There you go. So with the engagement, I mean, how does that engagement impact your online brand? Like that to me is just, I love the topic that you have because we don't always connect that engagement with how it supports or takes away from our brand. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that we very often forget when we are content creators or people who are content creators on social media, very often forget that there is a person on the other side of that screen. We focus on making something that looks pretty, make something that is maybe, you know, would be a nice advertisement, maybe, you know, we're focusing on the wrong things instead of actually thinking about our community. You have to think about social media as being social, about that through the screen, you are getting to each and every person. So you should treat social media more personally, and this way you create a brand. This is a little bit more almost emotional building brands than what it used to be back in the day, I would say, with the big companies in big advertisement agencies, I don't know, Adidas, or car companies that were making these amazing videos where they just show the product and it was enough to make people buy the product. Like nowadays, your power is in your community. And this is for me super important to never forget that is what you're doing it for, to create a community that just authentically supports your vision. They're not just, you know, I'm going to try and sell you something, you know, 5 steps to sales, you know, you know, that's not what it is on social media. And that's why we are big proponents, engagement over anything else.
Yeah, I think so. I think I guess, kind of right in what she's right in what she's saying. It's kind of weird.
Of course she is.
The boss is right. But it's about bringing your personality through as well, especially if I go back and kind of think, so when me and Agata was talking about having our own business, we knew ultimately that the business that we was going to do and the niche within that business was going to be social media management. The problem with that is, especially if you've got a industry title of that, it can be a bit of a dry subject. So instead of having a no-face entity going out on, say, Instagram, Facebook, and even like YouTube, all the other social media platforms, we kind of decided that we needed to show our faces as well. So we had to make ourselves be part of the brand and show that to, it sounds cheesy to say actually, but to show our faces to the world. And when I say that sounds cheesy, it's like, oh, what, the world? But it's true, because we're getting engagement with people in Europe, the US and Australia. So the actual strong brand identity, even though we do go through the traditional brands of color scheme, how how it's all going to look. Ultimately, the brand is actually from us as a personality, and at the same time, we're always striving to give value. I think value is the key, which then ultimately gives you sales, but you don't want to be selling all the time as well. It's about us as a brand, but also providing continual value.
If I can add to it as well, when we're thinking about overall building an authentic brand, why it's so important to show who you are is like, your graphics can be replaced. Someone else can do what you're doing, but nobody can be you. So if you will find the people who share your vision and like you for you, you're irreplaceable.
Right. And that's not always easy to do. And Donna Pravada, who is also another social media expert, love her, dear friend of mine, says 100% people get this wrong. So thank you for joining us, Donna, and adding in. Donna is, very, very exciting to hang out with her, and both of you as well, just to bring all this important information, because I want to back up. You said personal, and yes, personal, showing your face and getting out there in front of people. Can you talk a little bit deeper about that? About, yes, showing up and having our face, but what other ways do we bring our personality to help build our brand and help build the engagement?
I think it's all intertwined together, because when you sit down to create your brand, and this is what we're doing for ourselves, and that's what we're doing to our customers as well, because we also help people brand their businesses, you have to kind of get a feeling of the brand. So your brand is not going to be only you in the video and how you speak, but it should be reflected in the colors, it should be reflected in your fonts, because if you want to be super powerful, you might have, of course, there are different guidelines depending on the business, but maybe you want to be, look like super strong or super energetic, or maybe you want to be very mild and calm, or this airy feeling, whatever it is, your character should be reflected not only through whatever you're saying, how you're saying it, what kind of media you choose to say your message, but also in your colors, fonts. Everything is a little piece of the puzzle that shows who you are.
Yeah, it's not just about you just especially if we're talking about video and being presentable in that point of view. It's not about just pressing the record button and appearing. It's everything that goes with it. So it's the overall, especially from a Cruz Creative point of view, we look at ourselves, it's the full package. So yes, we're a strong addition to that. But like you say, it's still the color palette, the typography, etc. that goes with it though as well.
I really heard you say consistency and congruency, right? It should be all across the board. I just want to say, Don also says, now more than ever, it's important to be you online. I know that and it's hard. Thank you for bringing that up, Donna, because I find that it's hard to always bring like my quirky self to the table. But the more I've done it, the more engagement that there is, right? So it kind of invites more of it. But boy, it can be really frightening to kind of put yourself out there.
And I think that there is one thing that people sometimes misunderstand if it goes to, being yourself online. Because if you're with your family versus when you are with your friends, you are a slightly different person and you are at work. It doesn't make you lie about who you are, but maybe I wouldn't say the same joke at work that I say to my friend. So it's important to bring a little bit of your personality to the table, but of course you also have to think about what kind of business do you have. Because in some businesses you're going to be able to do it more than the others. I mean, I don't expect someone who has a private health clinic to do a lot of jokes in 2020, because it just would be inappropriate. But there is always this balance, and of course every brand is gonna authentically present themselves a little bit different. Because we actually know an example. I don't know if I should say.
Go on.
Because it's a bit controversial, and that's not our client. But there is one funeral home in Italy, which goes completely contradicting to what we say. They do so many jokes, and they have so much engagement on Instagram. The funeral home on Instagram, they are fantastic, and they have so many clients. You can do it.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. Are they selling? But they definitely are someone to look at. I mean,
yeah.
one of the examples where you can also go sometimes against the current, but be authentic. Yeah, don't try to be.
And actually, obviously it's a huge benefit. I mean, we spoke to your good friend a couple of weeks ago, Doreen. I think we mentioned this to her actually, because she said to us, like, how do you go out to the market? How do you kind of, ultimately we're all in it to make money and win business. And it was down to, obviously social media. How are you reaching out? I was like, to be honest with you, I said, they're actually reaching out to us, not us reaching out and finding clients. So our own brand in terms of how we portray ourselves on camera, how the consistency is, and we're showing up all the time and giving value. We're not selling. We're just giving value. And ultimately, the clients who come along will say, we want to be like you because we've seen you package your brand in such a way. Can you do that for us as well?
Yeah, and another part of the brand that I actually didn't mention before when we were talking about it, customer service is part of your brand. So
100%, Agata. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Yeah, because every comment that we get, we answer. Every time someone gives us compliment, we answer. At certain points, it's impossible to do, but doing it to the extent that you can the most is going to be seen. Like, even if you follow huge Instagram accounts, they're probably not the people themselves they do it. They have teams for it as well, but you can see that at least they invested time to do that. So I don't know, Louis House, whatever, he's gonna have hundreds of thousands of comments, but even if your comment is not replied to, you can see that others are. So you see, okay, so they are spending time doing that, or maybe resharing content and kind of doing these little things that show people that you care, that they are there.
And that also helps with the algorithm as well, right? When you go in and you engage. So it's important for the brand, but it's also important for continued reach, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we always actually put that into our workflow. So our workflow, if we say we pick on one platform being Instagram, if we put posts out onto Instagram, we will be available for an hour or 2 hours to make that engagement, because of course, like what you just said, which is correct in terms of helping with the algorithm, if we just put a post out and then just left it for hours on end, that's just not going to do anything at all. So we put the post out, and of course we're there for our audience to do any engagement straight away. So it's actually part of our workflow processes that we put into that.
Yeah, but then again, we're trying to do authentic engagement.
Right.
Talk about
But James, you actually close your computer at the end of the day, right? We've had this conversation. I'm calling you out, man.
We started watching a new series yesterday, so at least that's
I don't know if it was to yourself or if it was Dora. I actually sent a message, and I actually looked at my watch this time, Tenerife time, and it was 9 p.m. in the evening, and I felt like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that.
Although we did send message yesterday on LinkedIn at 9:30 at night. I mean, it's all because American time.
Don't worry, it's getting better.
It is getting great. Good.
There's improvement there.
Well, I think that is a part of expectation these days, is that you reply to a message, a text, a phone call, an email, and social media is so consuming. I know all of the social media managers that I work with and speak with, it's like there's no boundaries, right? That everyone expects you to respond immediately. And can you talk a bit about that within your brand, right? Within that authenticity of creating a little delineation there.
I would say that it's like with life. I mean, you can be a polite person, but set boundaries. If it's so gonna happen that someone is gonna comment during the weekend and you decided not to answer during the weekend, answer. You have to answer them. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. We did for sure. Thank you very much for your comment. Still acknowledge them, but have let them know that sorry, we were unplugging. You should do.
Right. That's perfect. And I appreciate you sharing that because I think some people don't know how to not reply in an authentic and respectful way. So I think that's really helpful.
It is very difficult because you want to reply straight away, you know,
exactly,
and especially if you care about your brand like we do, like it's our.
And the thing is I do learn from, you know who they are, the key people. One of them being yourself, and there's another lady in Vermont as well. I've learned a lot from in terms of
time management,
and time boxing.
Those Vermonters, I tell you, they're tough. So can you talk a bit about vanity metrics and authentic engagement?
Yes. So that is something that I would like to touch on a few things, and I'm going to put Instagram as an example first. We can talk about other social media later. Many people count your success through the amount of followers that you have. But it's not always a measure of success, because if you have 12,000 followers and you didn't provide service to any of them and they never see your posts because, you know, they also follow 12,000 people and they scroll through and they never see anything of you, what's the point? I would say that amount of followers that you get is not the most important unless you appeal to a mass market. Sorry, we just have to switch the microphone. But I would actually say that there is another side of the coin, let's say. Can you see us okay? Hear us okay? Yeah?
We can see and hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Okay, I can take this off now. So there's another side of the coin. You see a lot of people that are followed by 20,000 people and they follow 2. And they think that makes them look cool, you know? Like, I'm followed by all these people and I don't need to follow anybody. That doesn't make you look cool. This means that all the people have trusted in you, all the people like you. Let's say even you have big engagement, likes, everything, and you don't support anybody back, anybody from your peers, anybody from your audience. What's the point? Like, you are not creating that nice community that you would like to have. So I think it's always give and take in that regard.
Always give and take. I think it needs to be, right? I mean, it can't be, it's not sustainable if it's not.
Exactly. And on other platforms, it's exactly the same thing, because you will see, especially, for example, on Facebook, people are just like, oh, this, I had this reach. I'm like, okay, how many proper customers did you get from us? Not many. So what is that number saying to you? For us especially, because we are people who are providing a service, and, you know, quite extensive service when we are quite intimate with our clients and we are in contact with them on daily basis, we really don't need a huge following because there's only so many customers that we can have. What we need is people who trust in us, who like us, and who want to work with us in this intimate way.
I think there's quite, I mean, you talk, Agata was always expert really on Instagram, so we always had crossovers in terms of the different platforms. But how I understood it was most people have this misconception that you have to have huge followers, and then you get the business of sort of doing, you know, like for like, you know, for the follow.
Follow for follow.
Oh, sorry, follow for follow.
Oh gosh.
So, and it's kind of like true, you know, like, you know, I spoke to somebody, I can not naming names or anything like that, but they would have, how I used to quantify it was they had something like, I don't know, it could have been like, say, 10,000 followers. And if I'm honest, Cruz Creative, we've got just short 600. What I would always sort of argue with them, but that was where the vanity came in, because it was kind of like, hey, guess what? I got 10,000 followers and you've only got 500. You know, it came as a bit of a battle. But I said to myself, how can you quantify in terms of money to your business? How does that translate? So you could have, for example, let's say if you've got 10,000 followers, you're going to have a very high number of likes in comparison to what we would get. But how the argument turned out...
Ratio, though, would be, your ratio could be higher for engagement.
Exactly, yeah. So the argument was I actually earned more money from my followers than what he did. But in his own mind, it was like, but I've got 10,000 followers. It's a vanity chase that they're chasing all the time, whereas we don't need that. We've only got so much capacity anyway, but we can definitely tap into what monetary value we get from it. It's not all about, like you say, it's not all about vanity.
And one real life story that I would like to add, another one, is that we started hosting workshops, and because of the current situation and limitations that we had, we couldn't have more people, we couldn't have a lot of people in the room, basically speaking. So everybody's like, oh, should we even make it? Should we cancel? Should we this? Should we that? Because we don't have enough. And guess what? We got 2 prospect clients out of that. So out of this small group.
So I'm hearing size does not matter.
Yes.
Right? It's all about engagement.
I was actually going to say that, and in my head it was like, James, don't say it.
There's my authenticity coming out.
There you go. This is how you do it.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I do think that so many people think, they look at someone else and think, oh my gosh, they're so much further ahead than I am because they have 20,000 more followers. But like you said, when you look at the engagement, there's just so little there that it's not useful, right? I would rather have, pare my email list down to 1,000 from 10,000 and have a lot of engagement rather than just sending it out and no one opening it, or social media posting and no one ever, like you said, it doesn't get in front of your clients, your followers. So you're not servicing them. You're not giving them any useful information because they don't see it.
We get it. I mean, again, we get it because there's always that element of competition, and we're always competing against other businesses. And we get it even on we had the argument on the YouTube side. So, someone will have, say, 10,000 subscribers, or they've had 4,000 views, but they don't equate to any value or monetary value to the business. We might only get 5 viewers, but those 5 viewers are always paying customers.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm only serving to who I don't need the huge audience. So you've got to stop thinking that you need these huge audiences, and it does come down to vanity.
And we had that actually. Another thing that very often happens, what happened after one of our workshops was, I had a person coming up to me, and we were talking about Instagram for business. Yeah. So I had a person coming up to me, and she's like, how do I grow on Instagram fast? Can I post 14 times a day and that is going to make me grow faster? I'm like, first of all, why? Why do you want to grow fast?
I think that is a key question that we don't ask ourselves or others often enough. I think we always need to start with why. So that's just such a simple, but so brilliant.
Exactly. And when I started to speak to that person, it was a girl, and I was asking her about her business and her business model and everything like that. And in her mind, it was, again, the typical misconception that to make her business work, she has to have a lot of people really fast. But not only, as we said, it doesn't always turn into conversion, but there is something about building very small community and making sure that you answer this core people. There was this video once that I've seen in completely different context, how to start a movement. That, first you have one person, there was this funny video, and one guy is just dancing by himself on the grass. And then there is this second one that comes and joins him. You have to take care about the second person so much, because that's the person who started your movement. And then they come, but in 2s, in 3s, in 4s, in 5s. So when you build strong core, the rest will follow. But you don't want to grow too fast, so you can never give attention to anybody, And the girl turned out, after we had that conversation, and I asked her about her business model, she was a life coach, and her plan was to offer one-on-one coaching. And I'm like, you cannot coach 10,000 people in a week. You don't.
That's so clear. And I know Donna talks a lot about that as well. Donna Cravata, who made the comments before, it's just less is better, right? We're not trying to get thousands of people. And I think that gets in the way of our engagement. I think it also gets into our mindset of, oh my gosh, I need to do this big thing. But getting in front of 100 people and having engagement, I think it takes pressure off from us, that we don't have to get so much. And we probably really don't want to get in front of 10,000 people at that level.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is a lot of pressure to take as well.
Right. So I'm hearing really consistency, congruency, really looking at the size of your audience, but it's the engagement that is far more important. Being very authentic in how you show up and within your branding. Can you give some tools or some tips on what can people do other than posting, right? Like, are there some tips on posting that you have, or different styles that you might share with people?
I would say show up in the most ways you can. So if you have, sorry?
Can you define that? Or maybe you are, but like, show up in the most ways that you can?
Yeah. For example, let's decide that you're going to be posting on Instagram, and you have nice schedule and you're doing it regularly. So you show up in this way. Another thing that you're going to do, what you mentioned already, is going to be commenting, answering your own comments. That's absolute basic, right? So, thanking people, starting conversations, making sure that you continue that conversations. What you might do as well, if you have someone who follows you, show interest in them. Mm-hmm. So see what they do, maybe react to their story, maybe react to their posts. You have to equally care about your peers and your audience at the same time, because we are creating one big community and we always help each other, right? So it might be some other social media manager that you're gonna like the post of, you might reshare it as well, so that's gonna create more engagement for you in the future. But also, if you have a person that you follow who is a baker somewhere else in the other side of the world, show them appreciation as well, like their post, comment on their post as well, and be there, and do that on all social media platforms. Do live shows where you can answer people directly and in live format, one of the questions.
And also, we did a little bit of I call it the shock tactic. So I don't think many people actually, I'm guessing most people don't do this, but we did it. So again, not name dropping to another Vermont lady, Doreen.
Yeah.
Easy thing, and I'm only using Doreen as an example because you said we could use examples. But I do this actually quite a lot, and in terms of LinkedIn messaging. Mm-hmm. So when LinkedIn messaging, you just the old-fashioned way of texting someone through a messenger. Now I pick up my phone and record a video message and send a message directly to that person.
I just learned that last night. I was like, darn, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great, and it works fantastic as well. Not really tried it on the other platforms as such, but for LinkedIn, from a B2B point of view, it works fantastic.
I would also say that even for the clients that you already have, it gives that personal touch, and you cannot always say the same thing. When you type, you show a little bit of your personality, but it's not the same. You can't show how caring you are because your tone of voice is not there, your smile is not there, none of that is there, but you can really connect to people through video.
Yeah, you've got that kind of way. Yeah, you got the text, and to lighten the tone, you've got your emojis, but now it's moved on. So it's super simple. It's just a case, pulling your phone out. You've got a film production in your pocket, record a message, send it on to the person. The person who receives it is absolutely bowled over with it. It's what's correct.
Because it's so different. No one's really doing that. What I'm finding, and I'd love your insight on this, is we don't even need to do anything extreme. We just need to step it up slightly, and we're in the top 5 or 10% of engagement and connection on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people tend to forget, people try to crack the code and algorithms, which are important, don't get me wrong, but people still like people.
Yeah.
You can't get around that. You can't just be you can present your brand maybe in a different way if you're going to do a little animated person. But people like people. People like human interaction, and that makes them gives them this emotional connection.
And it is a case of sometimes, and we do it a lot as well, in terms of tapping into new, they're not necessarily new features, but just different ways of doing things. I mean, certainly back in the early days of Cruz Creative, when we were starting, and we was needing to prospect for customers, I was actually using the same thing as what I've just mentioned about LinkedIn. I was doing the same thing for Instagram, because Instagram does, the features are all in those social media tools. I was doing exactly the same thing, recording a video message, saying who I was, or it may have been me and Agata, but saying who he was, who Cruz Creative was, could we help you in any way in terms of social media management, and really just greeting and hello, and reaching out to people. And you know what? I got better engagement doing that than if I used a text message to send and say, hello, we can help you because we're a social media management expert. But using a video, the amount of replies I got back.
That's authentic, right? Can you give
it doesn't always maybe turn into direct lead or direct prospects, but these people appreciate it so much that they stay and they still observe and they still like your stuff.
And
in the future,
they come back.
And the other thing with the video, and the other thing with a video is because it is personal, because you can't copy and paste it. The amount of times I get messages in LinkedIn and it's a copy and paste, I know it straight away, so I ignore it.
Can you share a couple of ideas? Because I think people they freeze when they think of video, right? Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. It's got to be brilliant, amazing, like earth-shattering. It really doesn't. You're just getting out there and doing it. Can you share a couple of ideas for people to do that? Grab their phone, connect with 2 people on LinkedIn, just a topic that they could talk about, just insights, and that would hopefully invite them forward.
I would say that, first of all, if you come from an authentic place, right? You're not spamming everybody and you're not going to volume again, but you're going to exactly people that genuinely interest you, or you like their work, or I don't know, you just find something in them that you want to connect with. That already is a plus. So you should first of all find people this way. But just say hello. Say what you like about them. Say why did you find them. Say who you are and why do you think it would be valuable to connect. And that's it. Just normal human conversation, really, I would say.
Yeah, right.
I remember I reached out to you and was like, Canary Islands? Like, how cool is that? And then that's how we really sort of got started connecting, which was great, through Doreen's, I think one of her videos. Actually, she was on I was interviewing her, but just reaching out and staying connected. It literally was, oh my gosh, Canary Islands, that just sounds phenomenal. And then the conversation has gone from there. Was not brilliant, was not earth-shattering, but it was funny.
Yeah, I think it's more simple than what we think. And I think that, I don't know if it's still that people have that mindset of film stars and that camera is for, looking fabulous and always saying everything scripted and everything right. It's not the case anymore. And most of us, if we follow any kind of, maybe not influencers, but, people who do use video in their everyday life, you will see that, they're authentic. Their hair is not always perfect. Their, eyelashes are not always on fleek. I have an example that I absolutely love and I always say. There is this company in UK who sells keto cakes, so carb-free cakes. I'm keto, so I'm very interested in that. I'm not in England, so I cannot buy them. But I love that couple so much. I feel like I know them. And they are not, movie stars. They're just people who sit in the hot kitchen and bake cakes and then distribute them. But they're so authentic. And they're like, oh, I figured out this new recipe. It was so good. And I met this person who I delivered cakes to. And she invited me for a tea. You know what I mean? It's real life things. And I love following them. And I said to James, if we're ever in Manchester, we're ordering cakes from them. Because they're just nice humans.
Would you be willing to pop their link in the chat when we're done,
so
people can see what that type of engagement is, right? You can pop it in now.
They're called Delicious Guilty Free, I think.
delicious, guilty-free. Yeah, but I just think having those examples are really key. And also, I know if you go live on LinkedIn or just to record a video, you get to keep it or throw it away. It's not like when you hit live, when you're recording that, hello, it's really great to meet you, that you can actually look at it and delete it, which I think is a huge thing for people to know that they can do that. I know one of the things that I do, like for birthdays on Facebook, how many people do you see where they've got, 350, hey, happy birthdays, and you've kind of got to go through. I'll go in and create a little video, just happy birthday. I might sing them happy birthday. They probably wouldn't want that, but I do it anyway. Authentic. But I love it because then you can actually play it and you'll be like, oh, that was bad, and redo it. Can you do the same thing on LinkedIn and on Instagram just to sort of give everyone a little ease into it?
Absolutely.
We just did it
yesterday.
But it was that was down to a technical issue. Yeah, but even so, we had to re-record it, and actually the re-recording that we did was actually better than the first one. But yeah, if you make a mistake,
you just
delete it, redo it again, and then attach and send that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to touch up on one thing: how to start, because I think that made me quite good on video overall. I have Snapchat. If anybody remembers Snapchat,
make my kids on Snapchat.
I have friends in Poland, group of 7 friends from high school, and I speak to them every single day through Snapchat. So we have groups of 7 girls, and we just literally do this. Oh, listen what happened. My client was, not on time today, or it's raining, or it's this and that. Literally just talking about your life to camera. I think it's a great exercise, because first of all, you learn where to look. You learn to speak freely without having that thought that you're even looking on the camera. I would say that if you have someone who is a friend who has a business, both install Snapchat and just test, get used to being in front of camera. I think it's a great practice, and it disappears once person sees it. So you know that they cannot replay it.
Yeah, you do.
I've actually created just a test group on Facebook. No one else is in it, right? And I'll go in and I'll test certain things and just see how it looks and see how it sounds, which I think is really helpful. It can also get us bogged down into making sure that it's perfect and retaking it 12 times, but just to get used to getting on camera and doing those types of things. Are there any other tools, Agata and James, that you would recommend, or resources for people to research and look into to really start creating more authentic engagement and solidifying their brand online?
In terms of tools
or resources. I mean, is there a website? Is there an app? Is there
There are specific apps that I like using, but this is more to use with when we probably take over someone's account, but it's useful. There is an app called Followers that actually shows you your engagement rate. So Instagram doesn't count that for you, but you can actually see how much percentage-wise you get from your account. So that's a good resource. Also, you can see the people who unfollowed you, because usually, on Instagram, you can see, okay, you have 7 unfollows, but you don't know who they were. So you can already see, which also gives you a lot of valuable information. So if, for example, you went on your hashtag during the day and you engaged and you gave valuable comments, but you gave valuable comments to accounts that only put quotes in, for example, and then you see that this kind of accounts really follow you and then unfollow you, maybe just skip them next time, So I think it does give you a lot of valuable insights into who follows you, who unfollowed you, who blocked you, who you follow and don't follow you back, who is that's a great thing. It shows your most, sorry, I'm going on, waffling on.
You're passionate, which is great.
Because I'm not selling this app, I promise. It shows you your top fans, which I like. So people who through the time have given you the most likes, the most comments. So these are probably people that you want to show extra care to.
Right. Yeah. Reach out to do that video for.
That's the tool that we're using. I promise you, I haven't got any affiliate links at the bottom.
No, but I mean, what you're saying is so great because that right there is giving someone a topic to jump on and do just a 30-second video. Just noticed that you're one of my top followers. I want to thank you so much. Is there anything that you'd like to hear me talk about? Is there a topic that you would like some additional information on, right? So simple. Again, not brilliant, big epiphany type of thing, but those analytics really help you hone in on specifically who to connect with and what to say, which is great.
Yeah. And I think also, like what you said, asking your audience about their opinion, about what they want to see, what did they like, maybe what they didn't, or just the simple things. Like we like to interact as well in stories. We do it as much as the time allows.
And stories are great. I mean, we do again. You do the video side more than me actually on the story side. Only because I'm super shy on it. But you do the story side in terms of the video, but reaching out. And the beauty of that is, obviously with stories, you've got 24-hour exposure. But again, we'll do the video, but you're reaching out in terms of your branding. Yeah, and you're reaching out to your user base, but you're also asking questions in that. So the important one is, your sort of call to actions, or asking questions like we do, like what content would you like to see? Some people do it as a static image, but again, we'll do it from a video point of view. Because again, we know fundamentally, like video is really the more powerful element of any social media.
Right. And I think that people can get really stuck in, oh, I do not want to do video. And the fact of the matter is you're probably going to stink right out of the gate. We all do, right? You cannot expect to be perfect at something that you've not done before or you've done once 6 months ago. So just know that you're going to improve. But back to what we talked about in the beginning, that consistency and congruency is what's going to support you to not only increase your engagement, but to increase your confidence and ability to show up authentically.
And I think that this small building of confidence will be needed when you actually grow to many, many followers, because that's what people always say, like you want success in a day, but you didn't grow as a person to be able to handle it. Or if you would get 17 clients tomorrow, do you have capacity to accommodate them all?
That's a great one.
Perception is to be, like I say, perception to be successful straight away. It's like with anything, business. How I'm learning it as well is, it takes time and a lot of effort, so it doesn't come instant. Some people can be lucky, and some people can be lucky, but generally speaking, it takes time and a lot of effort, to be successful. But going back to the video, we knew all along that it was going to be super important, for the business. We could see it happening. We knew it was like the focal point of every social media platform. And of course, I was a little bit scared.
Still don't like it.
I still don't like it, actually. I'm all right now. But, I was still like uncomfortable, and I would hold off and maybe this needs changing. But I would do this, like you said before, like privately. I wasn't going live. I was doing it, and I was looking back and thinking, no, I don't look great on it, and the graphics not right. But you just said to me, well, just press record, right? So the actual best advice is just, I know it sounds really simple, and it is simple. Just press the record button. If you mess up, you mess up. I mess up. Everybody messes up. Just press that record button.
And one thing that I actually found is like, if you're bad at something, that's why you should do it. If you're a bad runner, you're running to become a better runner. If you would be a fantastic runner, why would you have to train? Everybody starts from being bad in something to achieve something good. So you have to be bad at the beginning.
There's a quote that I love by Gary Keller, and I believe it's Gary Keller, and it's success is sequential, not simultaneous, right? So it's not like we can just have it all at once. We need to be building it and building towards it and whatnot. So Agata and James, is there a question that I did not ask you that you two would have asked yourself?
What do you think? Now I'm asking him. after I spoke to
What? There it is.
there
You're
it
just looking off camera.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, why authentic relationship is superior in building your brand, but I think we pretty much covered it in that.
We're all
You
But
share
I want
some
to add
wonderful information.
Yeah, add one thing, that we are speaking about many of those things in very cold terms, like, oh, this amount of likes, this amount, this analytics, that analytics. But if you're passionate about your business, this will come natural to a certain extent, because your business is like a plant or like a pet or like a baby that you just nourish. So you will want to do that. Sometimes actually the other problem is that we discussed the other week how to stop doing it in the evening. But if you're authentically passionate about your business and you didn't join the business just to make money, but you actually like what you do, this will show.
It will.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, you two. I so appreciate you sharing your brilliance and your gifts and just your passion. It's so clear that you two love what you do. Definitely. If someone wants to reach out, where is the best place to find you? Where can they contact you?
Well, everywhere.
Everywhere.
So probably the easiest will be to send us DM on Instagram at cruz.creative. I cannot add it to comments right now, I don't know why, but cruz.creative. And you can also find us on LinkedIn. Everywhere we are Cruz Creative Digital. So Facebook, LinkedIn.
And also not forgetting the website.
The website.
Which is www.cruzcreative.agency.
Definitely. And be sure to check them out on all the different platforms, but YouTube, they do some amazing videos on there. There's some great tutorials. I still go back to the Canva one that you did, gosh, months ago, because it's just, I think we can minimize the simplicity of things. I mean, you really started with the fundamentals, which is so, so very important. And Donna says, now more than ever, oops, already did that one, see?
Mm-hmm.
Great interview. Thank you, Donna. I really appreciate you showing up, especially since you are in this arena. It's always awesome to have you join us. So thank you, you two. I am incredibly grateful. I do want to share that next week is Thanksgiving, so I will not be going live. But the following week on December 3rd, I'm going to be interviewing Tracy Shirk from Elevated Talent Consulting, and she's going to be talking about creating your dream team. She is an HR expert, really dynamic speaker, totally fun, and will be bringing a wonderful amount of information that you could totally use. So thank you everyone who has joined us, who have watched. If you're watching live or on the replay, please post where you're calling in from. Agata James or from the Canary Islands in Spain. I'm from Vermont and would really love to hear. And as always, to your success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.